It's been more than 25 years since I first started meditating. And in that time, I've made some pretty terrible mistakes. I've done everything from going on emotional roller coasters to escaping my reality for more than a year. I've learned the hard way, so you don't have to. With that in mind, it's with no pride at all that I present to you my top 7 dumbest, craziest, most incomprehensibly stupid mistakes that I've ever made during my meditation practice. Number 1, I caused myself to have a seizure-like event. So to explain the story, we have to travel back in time to the early 90s when Pauly was just very small. And Super Mario Kart came out for the Super Nintendo Entertainment System. I fell in love with gaming, and I've been an avid gamer ever since. In fact, at one point, I was a competitive Street Fighter player. During that time, when I was playing Street Fighter competitively, I decided, being an avid meditator, that I'd find out what would happen if I entered a meditative state, kind of the state of samyama, while playing video games. Do you know what happened? Blackness. I fell unconscious and woke up minutes later. I'd forgotten who I was, where I was, and what I was doing. I'm not joking. I literally knew nothing other than the fact that my head was pounding. A moment later, I remember my mum's telephone number back home in England, so I called her. She called my girlfriend over in Canada, which is where I live, and my girlfriend came and whisked me away to the hospital. Later, it was determined via EEG that I had suffered a seizure-like event, and I didn't know how that could possibly happen because I don't have epilepsy. Well, let me tell you how that happened. It turns out that meditating creates a state of hyper-awareness in your brain that can potentially lead to seizure-like events in non-epileptics, especially if you're doing something that is very stimulating, such as playing a video game. Now, don't get me wrong, I love meditation, and trust me, meditation has done me far more good than bad, and it's extremely unlikely that this would ever happen to you. It's like bought out of the blue that it happened to me, but it did happen, and it certainly is one of the biggest mistakes that I've ever made during my meditation practice. Number 2, I caused myself dissociation and dizziness. After my seizure-like event, I was bedridden for about a week. Unwell, there wasn't really a great deal for me to do. And at that time, I hadn't really realized that my meditation practice could in any way have contributed to the event. So, in bed, I continued my meditation practice. And because I didn't have much to do, I would meditate for a good few hours a day. I was mostly doing techniques such as anapanasati and vipassana, which is Buddhist insight meditation. Little did I know that those techniques were going to lead me to experience dizziness and dissociation. So, research shows that when we practice techniques like vipassana, which is when you're observing your thoughts and then you say, oh, this is just a thought, this is just a thought, you're gradually detaching from your thoughts. And the same thing with your physical sensations. During vipassana and similar techniques, you're saying, oh, this is just a sensation, and you're literally training your mind to detach from those things. And so, because you're detaching, that can cause dissociation if you do it too much. If you do it just a regular amount, it's actually going to help because you won't be so influenced by your thoughts and feelings. But if you do it too much, then it might lead to dissociation and dizziness, as I mentioned. So many meditation techniques, especially ones that are very relaxing, can actually cause your blood pressure to lower, which is a good thing if you have high blood pressure. But if your blood pressure is already normal or low, then meditating too much can cause it to drop, and lower blood pressure can cause dizziness. So, because I was in bed, meditating for too much each day and only doing kind of anapanasati and vipassana, which are dissociative, I caused myself dissociation and dizziness. There's an easy solution for that though. You want to balance out your dissociative techniques with associative techniques. If you dissociate too much with techniques like anapanasati and vipassana, you want to associate then with things like loving kindness and body scan, which is exactly what monks do. If you think about Buddhist monks, they don't just do mindful breathing. They do mindful breathing to empty their mind and to clear their mind. Then, after that, they'll do various associative things, which, because they're Buddhist, they'll generally, do meditations on the Dharma, on Buddhist teaching. They'll also do mindful movement exercises to associate with the body, and metta, karuna, tonglen, and other techniques to associate with compassion. So if you dissociate, associate. So my mistake, as I mentioned, too much dissociative and relaxing meditation while in bed, causing dissociation and dizziness. Number 3, a silly little mistake that I still sometimes make today. One of the most tempting and easiest mistakes to make is to lie down to meditate and to blatantly fall asleep. I actually did it today. Is that a mistake if it's really enjoyable? Actually, no, it isn't a complete mistake. Indeed, research shows that naps and siestas are good for your mental health. They reduce stress, and after the nap, you actually perform better cognitively. A meditation nap is even better because it just is even more relaxing and even more good for your mind. The problem occurs when meditation naps or meditating lying down and falling asleep becomes the foundation, the backbone of your meditation practice. You want to meditate at least once per day when you don't fall asleep, because meditation isn't just about relaxing. In fact, it's not even primarily about relaxing. It's primarily about gaining insight into the working of your own mind. And it's really hard to do that if you happen to be unconscious. So, with that in mind, feel free to have as many meditation naps as you want, but also try to meditate at least once a day when you don't fall asleep. Number 4, only ever doing mindful breathing. When I was first getting into meditation about the turn of the century, I thought that mindful breathing was the only technique that there is. But of course, that is wrong. There's very many different techniques. There's things like anapanasati, vipassana, loving kindness, somatic, body scan, karuna, kundalini, etc., and so on. There's about 50 different well-known meditation techniques, and if you get into certain spiritual sects, for instance, Theravada Buddhism, there's going to be hundreds of different meditation techniques. What you need to know is that each of those meditation techniques has slightly different benefits. They all share things in common. Most meditations are going to be relaxing, good for concentration, and just generally good for your mental health. But I found that individual meditation techniques are really good at one specific thing. I'm going to give you a few examples. For instance, research shows that loving kindness, metta meditation, is really good at improving compassion and promoting pro-social behavior, and it can also reduce conflicts and strengthen your relationships. Somatic meditation, which is a body-focused meditation technique, is really good at healing trauma that gets stored in the body. And things like samatha and zazen, which are a single-pointed focus meditation technique, are really good at increasing concentration. And so while most meditations share some things in common, they also tend to have one super benefit, let's say. Super meditation benefit! They have one way in which they're going to help you more than any other meditation technique. What that essentially means is that to get the most out of meditation, you want to explore your different options. For instance, let's say that you're somebody who is a little bit shy and introverted. Something like karuna, tonglen, and metta, compassion-based meditations, are really going to help you to be more confident with people, which other meditations won't. Similarly, as I mentioned, something like somatic or body scan can really help to release trauma stored in the body. So learn about the different techniques and their individual benefits, and instead of just sticking to mindful breathing, explore your options. Number 5, using meditation as escapism. There was a long period of my life, mostly when I was immigrating from England to Canada, and I was facing a lot of financial stress and moving home, a lot of stress. During that period, I used meditation just to escape. I would not face my stresses. I would not face things that bothered me, that my problems in my life. I didn't tackle them head on. I would just go and meditate. And it didn't help. Sure, meditation relaxes you and it can reduce your stress, but you need to use that to strengthen yourself so that you can overcome the problems in your life. One enlightened way to think about meditation when you are going through periods of stress is think about it like armor. Let's say you have this really stressful thing that you know that you have to do. You're going to have to go and do it soon, and you're trying to get the strength to do it. Meditate, relax, find that inner peace, and use that as the armor that you need to carry yourself into the battle of doing whatever this thing is that's been stressing you. Don't use meditation to escape like I did. It's not going to help you to have a better life. Instead, use it to strengthen yourself so that you can face those challenges head on and achieve the things that you want to achieve in your life. I hope that you can learn from the mistakes that I've made to improve your own meditation practice and to avoid the pitfalls. I'm very grateful that because I've been meditating for so long and because I've learned from all my mistakes, I'm able to use my insight to really help people in my meditation lessons. If you would like to learn more about meditation with me, maybe solve some of the problems that you are facing with your meditation practice, subscribe and leave a comment. And to get the most out of, me, why not join me for a private meditation session on thedailymeditation.com. Thank you.